In the stillness of the night, as the world outside fades into distance and only your breath remains, that is when the mind begins to speak its truest language. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Have you ever wondered what truly governs your life? Reason, or the unseen depths of the unconscious you've never dared to touch? This video is not merely to help you sleep. It is a journey, an inward voyage, where light meets shadow, where fear and desire dissolve into one. Over the next hour, you will begin to hear yourself through Jung's timeless teachings on the unconscious, the self, and awakening. Let this voice guide you through the forest of your own mind, where questions no longer need answers, and all that's left to do is relax, breathe deeply, and listen. Because perhaps, to truly awaken, we must first learn how to sleep. There are nights when you look up at the sky and realize even the stars are dying. The light you see, radiant, magnificent, seemingly eternal, actually went out millions of years ago. The universe is only replaying the past, as if to remind humankind that all greatness has its limits, and even the brightest brilliance needs a night to rest. Jung once said, "The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity." The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. His words remind us that within the death of a star lies the seed of another planet. Within the decay of every greatness, there is room for something new to be born. But humans often forget this truth. We see monuments crumble, empires collapse, and the sea wash away the footprints once pressed deep into the sand. And we fear that one day our own names will be carried off by the wind like dust. Take a deep breath in. Breathe in. Feel everything that has passed. Then breathe out slowly. Breathe out. Peace remains, because time is the only truly fair judge. Look back through history, the pyramids rising from the desert, the giant statues guarding the Nile, the temples of Rome that once commanded the world. Each of these was built from one ambition, the desire to be remembered forever. Yet across thousands of years, time has eroded them all. Sand has covered every stone. Wind has worn down every carving. And the names of those who once ruled now exist only as faint echoes in ancient texts. Jung once said, "Whatever is born or done this moment of time has the qualities of this moment of time." Everything created bears the mark of its moment and will dissolve back into the same moment. No power, no victory, no memory can escape that law. Greatness, in its essence, is never eternal. It is only a flash of light between two darknesses, a sigh of the universe. But perhaps that is why it is beautiful. Just as we love sunsets, not for their light, but because we know that light is about to fade. Think of the names once worshipped as immortal: Alexander the Great, Cleopatra, Caesar, rulers before whom the world once bowed. Yet now they are nothing more than bone and dust beneath the earth. Their empires dissolved, while time continues its silent march. As Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Perhaps what frightens us most in watching greatness fade is facing the impermanence within ourselves. So when you stand before the ruins of the past, do not mourn their fall. Be grateful. for they remind us that life does not end when greatness fades. It only changes form, continuing to tell its story in another language. Carl Jung believed that within each of us lies a collective unconscious, a shared layer of humanity's memory, where the echoes of our ancestors, our histories, and lost civilizations still live. Which means, even when monuments collapse, their souls endure within us. Greatness does not disappear. It transforms into dusts of consciousness, into sparks of inspiration for those yet to come. Just as a dying star gives birth to iron, carbon, and gold, the very elements that make up the human body. When you look at the sky, you are looking at yourself, a being born from the remnants of the cosmos, from explosions that ended billions of years ago. You are not forgotten. You are the continuation. And when you understand this, you realize that no greatness ever truly vanishes. It merely changes shape. So tonight, if you feel small, if you look back and see the things you once took pride in beginning to fade, remember this: everything dissolves, and yet life continues. As Jung once said, the shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Every soul has its own rhythm. Greatness does not need to last forever. It only needs to be lived fully in the moment it was born. Imagine a monument that no longer has visitors, yet each time the wind passes, it still hums with the echoes of the past. Imagine old stones that need no witnesses, but still hold the warmth of human hands. Time may erase names, but it cannot erase meaning. For meaning does not lie in being remembered. It lies in having truly existed, sincerely, completely. Breathe in, the past fades. Breathe out, peace remains. Perhaps it is in fading that we find true peace. For when we no longer fear being forgotten, we can finally live honestly, love deeply, and rest fully. Jung once said something simple yet profound: what you resist persists. When we try to hold on to the light, we only make it fade faster. But when we allow it to go out naturally, that light returns in another form, another moment, another soul. And so, when greatness fades, it does not disappear. It returns to the primordial rhythm of life, where everything is balanced, where there is no high or low, big or small, only the breath of existence itself. Let this voice whisper to you in the stillness of night. Maybe the beauty of life lies in knowing it will be forgotten, because it is forgetfulness, not glory, that makes life fair, profound, and complete. When the light of great monuments fades, only one thing remains standing amid the dust of ages: justice. Time knows no favoritism. It does not bow before kings, does not indulge the powerful, and never slows for those who beg for one more moment. It moves steadily, silently, without mercy, without hatred, like a judge who needs no court. Have you ever stood before the sea and watched your footprints being washed away? In that moment, you realize every trace of existence, no matter how strong, eventually melts back into the water. The waves choose no one to preserve. They simply do their work, erase, and begin again. And within that erasure lies a gentle form of justice, one that needs no proclamation. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." When people become obsessed with being seen by the world, they begin to dream, to chase after power, fame, position. But when we turn inward, we awaken. We see that nothing truly belongs to us except the experience unfolding in this very breath. Fame, status, career, all are masks we wear in this brief life. They allow us to be seen, to be celebrated, but they fall away when the wind of time passes, like sails stretched full of wind, appearing strong, yet always lowered when the voyage ends. You don't need to leave a mark to matter. This simple whisper touches the essence of being. We do not need to leave traces to be meaningful, because value lies not in what endures, but in what is lived. Jung once wrote, "As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being." The sole purpose of human life, he said, is to light a lamp in the darkness of existence, not so that others may praise its glow, but so that it warms one's own soul while it still burns. And that is the justice of time. Time does not reward success, nor punish failure. It performs only one sacred task: to bring everything back into balance. A child and a king, a farmer and a philosopher, all pass through the same doorway, entering the same stillness where names and titles mean nothing. You can feel it in the rhythm of the night. Listen closely, not to the sounds of the world, but to the pause between two breaths. In that silence, every title dissolves. There is no who, no what, only pure, transparent being. Tonight, let go of your titles, your names. Just be a soul resting in the same silence as all who came before. Perhaps you've spent your whole life trying to prove something. You've climbed, fought, achieved, and held on to positions you believed were important. But in the final minutes of the day, when your head rests on the pillow, all titles fall from your shoulders like tired garments. Only you remain, a soul seeking rest. The justice of time is not punishment. It is an invitation, calling you back to yourself, to what is equal in all living things, existence itself. Jung once said, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. In destruction there is creation, in erasure there is balance. So too, in the fading touch of time, there's a miraculous equality, where all souls return to the same origin. There is no higher, no lower, no remembered, no forgotten, only the universe, breathing with you. Imagine yourself standing on the beach at sunset. The sun sinks low, the tide rises, and waves sweep away the still warm footprints. You do not grieve, because you know, tomorrow, others will walk the same shore, leaving their marks to be washed away again. The cycle has no beginning and no end. The justice of time is not about endings. It is about continuation. It is the eternal symphony of birth, death, and rebirth. And every human being is but a single note in its endless harmony. So tonight, relax. Let your titles, expectations, and all the stories you tell about yourself dissolve like waves upon the shore. For in that dissolution, you return to your purest form, no longer someone, no longer needing to be remembered, only needing to rest. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." The greatest privilege of life is not to be remembered, but to return to your truest self. Let time do its work. Let the waves erase the footprints, because only when every trace is gone can we touch what is eternal. the quiet equality of all souls that ever were and ever will be. And in the soft breath of the night, as the wind brushes the window, let this voice whisper to you, you don't need to leave a mark to matter. For in the end, it is not our traces that make us exist. It is this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. In the justice of time, we all return to the same place, the gentle stillness of eternity. And when you've learned to see time as a fair judge, favoring neither the strong nor the weak, you begin to realize another truth. Every journey, whether glorious or ordinary, ends in the same place. Not in the dazzling light of victory, but in the quiet stillness of equality. Imagine a field at dusk. The wind drifts softly, and the grass sways like the earth's own breathing. Beneath that soil, where silence reigns, there are no titles, no ranks, no kings or peasants, no rich or poor. Only souls resting side by side, sharing the final warmth of existence. The cemetery, in its peace, is the perfect proof of time's justice. It does not judge, it does not choose. It simply gathers all things into the arms of the earth. Carl Jung once said, death is psychologically as important as birth, and like it, is an integral part of life. Death, he believed, is not an end, but a natural act of life, like the day's final exhale as the sun sets. And in that breath, all become equal. In the cemetery, every story returns to a single voice, a whisper, like the lullaby of the earth. In the quiet of night, kings and beggars dream the same dream. In that stillness, kings and beggars alike dream of return, of rest, a place without the fear of being forgotten, without the hunger to be remembered. Perhaps this is the only moment in the human journey where we are truly equal, when we stop trying to prove we are different and begin to dissolve into the shared current of the cosmos. Jung believed the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But perhaps to return to who you truly are, one must first shed every layer of ego, every role the world has given, until only the naked soul remains, without name, simply existing. You can feel it in every breath of night, when all sound ceases, when the city sleeps, when only your heartbeat remains. You realize that no one is watching, no one is comparing, and it's in that moment that you are free. Tonight, you don't need to prove anything, just breathe and rest in equality. No need to fight, to achieve, or to leave a mark. Just breathe and let yourself dissolve into the silence, the way stars dissolve into the sky. Every comparison, every measurement, every effort to be more than someone else fades in the instant you understand. We are all temporary journeys, breaths within the same infinite ocean. Jung once wrote, "The life that I could still live, I should live, and the thoughts that I could still think, I should think." It is an invitation to live, to think, to feel, not for praise or recognition, but because it is beautiful. To live without leaving marks, but to leave warmth. To act not to be remembered, but to shine, even if only for a moment. If you listen closely, you will hear in the earth's breathing a deep acceptance. The earth never asks who lies within her. She demands no proof of worthiness. She simply holds, shelters, and nourishes, just as the universe cradles all drifting souls in its vastness. Within that equality lies a peace no crown can ever bring. Let yourself touch that peace, gently, without resistance. For only when we stop trying to control do we begin to truly live. Only when we stop fearing oblivion do we finally understand what it means to be remembered, not in someone else's memory, but in a living current of existence flowing through us. Breathe in, let the weight fall away. Breathe out, rest in the silence that holds us all. Every soul has a place in the song of the universe, but no note lasts forever. And because it doesn't, the song becomes beautiful. Its beauty lies not in being heard endlessly, but in having once been sung fully, tenderly, truthfully. Jung believed that humans do not truly fear death. They fear the loss of meaning. But if meaning lives within connection, within the endless cycle where all things merge into one, then death, or forgetting, ceases to be frightening. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. To touch the heights of spirit, we must accept the dissolution of the self, and thus, the equality of forgetting is not punishment. It is a gift. It allows us to rest, to melt into something greater than ourselves, to return to the roots of being, where there is no I, no you, no they, only one shared breath of life. Tonight, let this voice lull you. No one higher, no one lower, no one remembered, no one forgotten. All are sleeping in the same breath of the universe. And when you accept that time will forget everything, you will discover something profound. That peace does not come from being remembered, but from doing everything simply because it is beautiful. And when you accept that time forgets all, you will discover the peace of doing things simply because they are beautiful. When you've released the fear of being forgotten and found rest in the equality of all souls, another question begins to echo within. Why do we still long to leave a mark? Why, in this vast and impermanent universe, do we still crave proof that we once existed? Perhaps it is the deepest instinct of the ego, the fear of dissolving not only from the world, but from the memory of humankind itself. Have you ever felt the need to be remembered, to leave a trace that says, I was here? That question, when spoken aloud, sounds like a soft sigh of the human spirit. Since ancient times, we have carved our names into stone, built pyramids, erected statues, written books, painted canvases, all to tell time. Remember me. Yet the irony is this: in striving so hard to be remembered, we forget how to truly live. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." We spend our lives chasing external recognition, simply to avoid facing the emptiness within, like a sculptor chiseling endlessly at stone, obsessed with shaping perfection, yet never looking up at the sky, where clouds shift every second, where beauty exists freely, without needing to be preserved. The modern world has only deepened this illusion. Every photo, every post, every follower count all become proof of existence. Yet the more we are seen, the less we truly see ourselves. We exist in the memories of others, but vanish from the present of our own lives. Jung called this the hunger of the ego, the endless appetite for visibility, validation, and praise. But the more we feed it, the weaker the soul becomes. He once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. There can be no awakening without the pain of releasing the illusion that we must be remembered. Maybe the world doesn't need your mark. It only needs your presence. That truth drifts like a cool breeze on a summer afternoon, simple, yet awakening. Perhaps the world does not need more statues, more signatures, more names etched into history. Perhaps it only needs you, fully present, sincere, and alive in this very moment. Imagine an artist playing a violin in an empty room. No audience, no lights. His music is not recorded, not preserved. Yet, in that instant, his art is most real, not for anyone, not to anyone, just a pure communion between his breath, his hands, and the air. That is the freedom Jung spoke of, to act not for reward, but for the soul's simple joy of being alive. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. Jung, creation, he said, comes not from intellect, but from the playful instinct of the soul. When you do something purely out of love for it, you are living truthfully. When you smile for no reason but joy, you are touching the deepest layer of spiritual freedom. Yet most people are afraid to live this way. They fear that without witnesses, their lives will lose meaning. They fear that without leaving a trace, their existence will vanish. But as Jung reminded us, the meaning of life is to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. The meaning of life lies in being alive. It needs no validation. It needs no permanence. You can see this truth in nature. When nothing signs its name, flowers bloom, then fade, rivers flow, then merge into the sea. No one remembers each petal, each drop of water, and yet they are free precisely because of that. Freedom is not being remembered. Freedom is existing fully within the moment of life itself. Perhaps what torments humanity is not death, but the obsession with being remembered. Yet, as Jung said, what you resist persists. Watch there. The more we fear being forgotten, the more we lose ourselves in that fear. But when we accept forgetting as part of the dance, we find the serenity of one who no longer needs to prove anything. So relax your shoulders, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Feel this breath. It will not be recorded anywhere, yet it is real. It exists completely, right now, and because of that, it is enough. The ego wants to carve its name in stone. The soul only wants to touch the wind. One will fade, but the other will be free. Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. To accept yourself without fame, without role, without pretense is the most terrifying act, but it is also the beginning of peace." So tonight, if you still carry the longing to be remembered, let it drift away like smoke. Remember, the world does not need your mark. It only needs your presence, sincere, whole, here, now. And perhaps when you stop trying to be remembered, you will finally begin to be felt. Because the most beautiful thing you can leave behind is not a name, but a moment of truth. Maybe the world doesn't need your mark. It only needs your presence. And when you truly understand this, you will see that you were never forgotten. Because every breath you take, however small, merges into the breath of the universe. And within that breath, you are still living, still existing, still remembered, in the purest way a soul can be. When you've seen through the illusion of being remembered, you begin to touch a deeper truth. That real happiness is not found in being mentioned after you are gone, but in living fully while you are still here. Yet this, for the modern human, is the hardest thing to do. Each day, we are pulled into an infinite hall of mirrors where everyone is reflecting a brighter, more successful, more joyful version of themselves. Social media has become a stage, and the audience is the fragile part within us, the part that wants to be loved, recognized, seen. We live in an age where now has been distorted into someday. Someday when I get more likes. Someday when I'm admired enough. Someday when I become someone worth remembering. But in that endless chase, Carl Jung once warned, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. We think we are controlling life, but in truth, ideas of success and value are controlling us. We become runners chasing our own shadow. The faster we move, the farther it slips away. And in that pursuit, we forget the only thing that truly exists. This moment. Pause for a second. Inhale the now. Exhale the need to be known. Breathe in the present. Breathe out the craving to be seen. Jung once said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The meeting of two souls transforms them both, but only when they are truly present. Not me trying to impress, but me simply being here. When you look at someone with your full attention, when you listen to a song without thinking about recording it, when you cook a meal just to taste that moment, that is the truth of being alive. You don't need to be eternal to be meaningful, because meaning is not measured by the length of time, but by the depth of awareness. A flower that blooms for only a few hours can be more beautiful than a statue that stands for millennia, because it knows how to live completely in the brief moment it is given. Modern life teaches us that value lies in extension, prolonging youth, prolonging fame, prolonging achievement. But Jung once wrote, there is no birth of consciousness without pain. We awaken only when we dare to face the truth. Everything is temporary, and it is this very impermanence that makes each moment precious. You can see it in sunsets. No one demands the sun to shine forever to be beautiful. It only needs to exist, radiant, sincere, for a fleeting instant before it disappears. So too with us. When we stop living as performers for an imaginary audience, we begin to live like children, curious, innocent, and free. Children do not need to be remembered. They just need to laugh, to play, to be. That is why Jung believed the freest soul is the one who knows how to play, to find joy in every breath of life. Perhaps you have felt the pressure to do something great, to write a book, to succeed, to leave a legacy. But if meaning lies within the very act of living, then that striving only takes you farther from what is already here. Breathe in this moment. Feel the air filling your lungs, the rhythm of your heart tapping softly in your chest. This, right now, is your proof of existence. You need nothing else. Carl Jung once wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are and to become yourself. You don't need to construct an image or carve your name into history. You only need the courage to be present, completely, moment by moment. The world outside will remain loud. There will always be people who achieve more, go farther, receive louder applause. But remember, applause is a momentary wind. It rises, then fades. The peace you find in presence, however, it stays. It lives in your breath, in your skin, in your heartbeat, in the smallest drop of awareness no one can take away. Jung once said, "Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries." Wholeness does not come from rejecting what is imperfect, but from embracing everything, past, present, and the unknown to come. And in that embrace, this moment becomes eternal. Perhaps the most beautiful thing you can do for yourself is not to be remembered, but to truly live. Not to leave behind a story, but to feel every chapter of your life, no matter how short, no matter how dim, no matter how ordinary. Inhale the now, exhale the need to be known. Breathe in life, breathe out expectation. Tonight, let everything go, even the desire to prove that you matter, because the moment you stop trying to be someone, you already are. And perhaps that is the gentlest message Jung ever left the world. Happiness is not in being recognized, but in being present. Present in your breath, in this moment, in this silence where time stands still and the soul finally rests. When you've learned to stop chasing your own shadow and have accepted that the present is enough, something miraculous begins to bloom, a quiet form of freedom. It doesn't come from success, fame, or recognition, but from the simple act of being alive. It is a joy that is pure, modest, and profound, the joy of a life lived fully, yet without a name. There is an old story Jung once shared in one of his lectures about an old gardener who lived on the outskirts of Zurich. Every morning, rain or shine, he would walk to his garden and tend to his flowers. No one came to watch him, no one praised him. He didn't plant them for money, nor for acknowledgement. He simply found happiness in seeing a new bud sprout, in touching the soil, in hearing bees hum between petals. And when someone asked why he kept doing it, even though no one knew of his work, the old man smiled and said, "Because I love how the sunlight falls on the petals, even when no one is watching." That small story touches the deepest layer of Jung's philosophy. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The gardener didn't seek eternity and fame. He found it in the honesty of each moment he lived. In our modern world, such a way of living feels almost rebellious. We live in an age of spotlights, where worth is measured by influence, followers, visibility. But Jung warned, the persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. The persona is the mask, the self society wants us to be. We wear it to be accepted, and in doing so, slowly forget the face beneath. The gardener symbolizes liberation from that mask. He does not need validation. He does not need to be remembered. He simply needs to live and to love the moment he is in. Maybe legacy is not what you leave behind, but what you give while you are here. Think about it. Every gentle glance, every kind word, every small act of care, even if unseen, is a seed you plant in the world. They may not carry your name, they may never be carved into stone, but they will bloom somewhere, sometime, in ways you may never witness. In the Red Book, Jung wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside awakes. When we stop searching for worth through the eyes of others and turn inward to live in alignment with who we truly are, that is awakening. The gardener had awakened. He no longer dreamed of being known. He lived with the quiet joy of knowing he existed. An anonymous life is not a small life. On the contrary, it is the most authentic kind. For only when we are no longer bound by others' gaze can we act from pure love. A flower blooms not for an audience. It blooms because blooming is its nature, because it is right, because it is beautiful. Jung once said, "The soul becomes infinite when it surrenders." And when you release the need to be seen, you don't disappear, you expand. You become part of the invisible current that keeps the world alive. The unnamed, the unseen, the uncredited. The quiet kindnesses that hold humanity together. Look around you. The driver who wakes before dawn to take children to school, the doctor working through the night in a silent ward, the daughter caring for her sick mother without ever posting it online. They don't seek immortality. They simply live and give, and in that, they become immortal in their own way. You don't need to be eternal to be meaningful. The true meaning of a life does not come from being remembered, but from living deeply enough that a part of you, your kindness, your love, your calm, continues to ripple outward long after your name is forgotten. Imagine yourself as that gardener. Morning breaks. The sun is not yet high. Dew clings to the leaves. Your hands touch the soil. No applause, no audience, only breath, light, and bird song in the distance. In that moment, you do not need to be someone. You simply need to be. Jung once said, "Solitude is for me a fount of healing, which makes my life worth living." In that solitude, the gardener, and perhaps you, finds the soul that was once forgotten. So let your life bloom like that garden, without spectators, without recognition, only with love. Because in every small act of goodness you give, something eternal is written into the world, not in name, but in energy. And when you understand that anonymity is not disappearance, but expansion, you will feel a strange peace, a quiet rhythm flowing beneath everything, like the underground water that nourishes an entire forest without ever being seen. And when you release the need to be remembered, you begin to feel something timeless, the quiet continuity of life itself. And in that moment, you are no longer an individual trying to leave a mark. You become part of the nameless, eternal stream, where all souls merge, where existence no longer needs to be known to be meaningful. That is the joy of anonymous living, simple, complete, and free. When you've learned to live anonymously and found peace in not needing to be remembered, another door begins to open, the door of continuation. There, you begin to understand, even when something seems to end, it never truly disappears. Life does not move in straight lines, but in circles. Everything that falls away is simply finding a new form of return. When a leaf falls, it doesn't die. It becomes soil, and then the seed of another tree. A falling leaf is not an ending, but a promise of renewal. It dissolves into the earth, nourishes the roots, and one day becomes a leaf again. The life of a leaf is the most beautiful metaphor for the human soul, constantly transforming, constantly returning, never truly gone. Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Awakening cannot happen without passing through the pain of loss. Only when we allow the old to dissolve can we see how the universe regenerates itself from its own ashes. Look at nature. Water becomes vapor, vapor becomes cloud, and then rain. A flame dies, but its warmth lingers in the air. The sun sets, but its light remains painted across the horizon. In every small transition, the universe whispers its eternal message. Nothing ever truly ends. In the Red Book, Jung wrote, "Life is a process of becoming, not a state of being. Life is not a static state. It is a continuous unfolding. We are never fixed entities. We are the ongoing expression of countless moments, each birthing a new version of ourselves. When you breathe, you are changing form without realizing it. Breathe. Your body is the universe rearranging itself to remember you differently. Inhale, and you draw in air once released by a star billions of years ago. Exhale, and your breath becomes part of someone else's future life." Jung called this the collective unconscious, a shared psychic field where all life overlaps. Your energy is never isolated from the whole. When you leave, the world doesn't lose a piece of itself. It simply reshapes to carry you in another form. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. Albert Einstein. Jung resonated deeply with this principle, believing that the soul, too, behaves like energy, not destroyed, only transformed. Imagine standing at the shore, watching waves collapse into the sand. Each wave disappears, yet the ocean remains. Human life is the same. Every name, every story eventually fades, but the essence of life keeps flowing. Jung once said, "As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. If our purpose is to light a flame in the dark, that flame does not vanish when its bearer departs. It continues in others, in memories, in energy, in the echoes of our actions." You don't need to believe in reincarnation to see this. Just look at the natural rhythm of life. Our bodies return to the earth. The earth feeds the trees. The trees bear fruit. The fruit nourishes another being. We never disappear. We only return in gentler, subtler forms. There's a lesser-known line from Jung that holds the key to this truth. Death is psychologically as important as birth, and, like it, is an integral part of life. Death is not the opposite of life. It is its necessary half, like night to day, like exhale to inhale. When we understand this, we stop fearing endings, because we know that every ending is simply a doorway into a new form of life. Think of the people you've loved who are no longer here. They live on, in your gestures, in your laughter, in the lessons you carry from them. They have not vanished. They've only changed form, from presence to influence, from voice to memory, from body to light within you. The universe has never lost a thing. It merely changes the way it tells its story. Jung once wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, "The psyche is not of today. It was ever and ever will be. The soul doesn't belong to time. It is ancient and ongoing." When you listen closely to yourself, you can hear the echoes of those who came before. Their dreams, their fears, their faiths, all flowing through you. You are not separate from them. You are the continuation of their unfinished sentences, a river bending through new landscapes, but carrying the same water. When you begin to sense that rhythm, separation dissolves. You realize you are not only you. You are the breath of forests, the heartbeat of the sea, the dust of stars that exploded long before your birth. And when you truly feel this, fear melts away. Death, distance, change, they lose their sting. They are simply movements in the grand symphony of existence. So tonight, breathe deeply. Feel life flowing through you, not still, not static, but constantly reborn. Each cell within you dies and is renewed. Each thought fades and makes space for the next. You need do nothing to make this happen. It is the nature of life itself. Nothing ever truly ends. Nothing is lost. You are only changing form in a universe that is remembering itself through you. Let this breath remind you, you are not a single being, but a note in the endless song of creation. Breathe. Your body is the universe rearranging itself to remember you differently. And when you accept that truth, a deep peace arises, not because you've learned something, but because you felt it. Everything, including you, continues in light, in air, in breath, in the infinite circles of life. After realizing that nothing ever truly ends, you begin to see that life is not a sequence of losses, but an unending dance between forms. Everything moves, blends, and is born again. The death of one thing is always the first breath of another. And within this rhythm of change, the human soul finds its deepest meaning. Look at the flame. As it burns, wood becomes light, then ash, then smoke, then disappears into the air. Nothing is truly lost, only reshaped. Light cannot exist without burning, and burning cannot occur unless matter surrenders itself. This is the essence of transformation, a conversation between dissolution and creation, between destruction and renewal. Carl Jung once wrote, "Life is a process of becoming, not a state of being. Life is not stillness, it is movement, an eternal dance in which we are always changing, learning, evolving. And in that process, we grow. We fear change not because we hate the new, but because we fear losing what has defined us. A job, a relationship, a role, even the pain that has stayed beside us for too long." Jung called this the confrontation with the shadow, the meeting with the darker parts of ourselves. He wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. We do not awaken by dreaming of light, but by daring to face the darkness, for that is where true transformation begins. Like sound fading into air after it echoes, it does not vanish. It only relocates. And so do we. After every heartbreak, after every collapse, we continue, softer, deeper, truer. Think of the moments when you thought you had lost yourself. After an ending, a departure, a change so great that you no longer recognize the person you once were. Look closer. You did not disappear. You were becoming. Maybe you are not ending. You are becoming. Like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. The time spent inside the cocoon is not death. It is transformation. If the caterpillar could think, it would surely be afraid. For everything familiar would be dissolving. But nature does not destroy it. Nature is teaching it to fly. Jung believed that within each person is a spiritual current constantly seeking to evolve. He called this process individuation, the journey toward wholeness. But for evolution to happen, the old must make space for the new. The old must die before the new can be born. So instead of asking, "What am I losing?" try asking, "What is being born in me?" That is the question of someone who no longer fears change, but learns to dance with it. Like music, life has its rhythm, crescendos, rests, and silences. If you try to hold on to one single note, the song cannot continue. We must let each sound arrive and depart, allowing the entire symphony to unfold. In memories, dreams, reflections, Jung wrote, "The afternoon of life must also have its own significance and cannot merely be a pitiful appendage to life's morning. Every stage of life carries meaning. Youth is not better than age. Beginnings are not more precious than endings. Each is simply another movement in the same dance." So when you feel that life is changing, do not think you are being diminished. Think instead that you are being invited to join the dance of transformation. Every time your heart breaks, it expands, making room for a deeper love. Every time you release an old identity, you create space for your truer self to emerge. The world is always shifting, and so are you. Your body renews itself every day. Millions of cells die, and millions are born. Your mind too is in motion. Thoughts, emotions, desires never stay still. Each second, you become a new version of yourself. Tonight, close your eyes, breathe, feel your breath like a river, never holding the same drop of water, yet always itself. That is transformation, not destruction, but translation. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Perhaps becoming yourself is the greatest dance the soul can perform, a movement between forms, free, fluid, alive. Imagine the flame again. It never asks, "What will I become?" It simply burns. And as it burns, it shines. When it fades, it does not mourn. It becomes warmth, smoke, reflection on the wall. So do we. Each time we change, we radiate a new kind of light. Each time we dissolve, we are reborn elsewhere. Listen carefully, even the sound you hear now. This voice, this music, this breath is already dissolving into space. But it is that very dissolution that makes the silence full. It is through movement that life continues. Maybe you are not ending. You are becoming. Perhaps the dance of transformation doesn't ask you to know every step, only to listen to the rhythm of existence, to let life lead, and to trust that every fall, every shift, every release is part of a greater choreography shaping you toward wholeness. Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. Carl Jung, life truly begins when you stop fixing yourself in one form and dare to become the flow itself. And like every dance, you cannot control every beat. You can only feel it. Then, surrender to the rhythm of your heart, to the breath of the universe. Tonight, let yourself melt out of every old form. Allow life to rewrite you in its own language, for in the eternal dialogue between light and shadow, birth and decay, there is only one truth that remains. Nothing ever truly ends. Everything keeps becoming. As the dance of transformation unfolds, you begin to sense something deeper, that with every change, you are not merely becoming another version of yourself, you are returning to everything, every breath, every heartbeat, every current within you is not yours alone. They are the rhythms of the cosmos pulsing through human form. Carl Jung once wrote, "In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. Hidden within chaos lies harmony. Within every fragment, the whole." We are not separate from the universe. We are the universe becoming aware of itself. Everything is reborn within everything else. Water rises into cloud, falls as rain, seeps into the earth, flows as a river, and finally returns to the sea. The earth nourishes the tree creates the air, and we breathe it in, only to one day return to the soil. In these cycles, nothing belongs to anyone, because there is no anyone to possess. All things interweave, flow through one another, and are reborn together. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. Rumi, you are not a single drop within the sea. You are the entire ocean expressing itself through one drop. This is the heart of Jung's philosophy, where the boundary between self and whole dissolves. In the Red Book, Jung wrote, "The self is not only the center, but also the whole circumference which embraces both conscious and unconscious. It is the center of this totality. The self is not merely the center, but the entire circle that holds both the conscious and the unconscious. When you realize this, you understand you are not a lost traveler in the universe. You are the universe breathing through the shape of a human being." Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the breath moving through you. Soft, even, warm. The air you inhale has touched forests, oceans, and countless living beings. Those molecules once belonged to clouds, to mountains, to others, and now they are becoming you. Breathe. You are not merely breathing air. You are breathing life itself. Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there's any reaction, both are transformed. Every encounter is not just between people, but between you and the universe. Each moment you live, every time you touch the world, both you and it are changed. You dissolve a part of yourself into the cosmos, and the cosmos leaves a part of itself within you. Life, then, is not something outside you to be reached. It is happening through you, as you. Every movement, every thought, every emotion, all are the universe becoming conscious of itself in your form. Imagine yourself as a wave upon the ocean. The wave has no separate existence, yet it is never lost within the sea. It is the sea, simply in motion. When the wave dissolves, the ocean remains. When you change, your essence remains, always part of the great unfolding whole. In Jungian philosophy, this is the state of self-realization, the union between the conscious and the unconscious, between the individual and the total. In reaching it, you no longer seek meaning outside yourself, where existence itself becomes the meaning. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And who you truly are is not a solitary being, but a fragment of cosmic awareness, awakening to itself. Feel it through your breath. Inhale. You are the sky breathing through clouds. Exhale. You are the sea returning to itself. Life does not require you to earn your place in existence. Your being here is already enough. Jung wrote, "Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration. Wholeness is not perfection, it is inclusion." To become whole, you need not erase your flaws or silence your shadows. You need only embrace them, for they too belong to the unity that you are. The outer world divides everything into opposites: good and bad, beauty and ugliness, light and dark. But in the depths of the soul, there are no opposites, only balance, like day and night. They do not fight, they take turns, sustaining life together. And when you truly understand this, fear dissolves. You no longer need to control. You simply listen to the rhythm of your heart, your breath, the world pulsing alongside you. Everything that once frightened you, time, change, death, merges into a single realization. You are not going anywhere. You have never been separate from your source. You have never been lost. You are always returning to the whole that has held you all along. And then peace arises. You no longer have to seek serenity, for you are serenity itself. Peace is not outside you. It is your essence, the slow breath of the universe moving through every cell. Let tonight be a gentle invitation. Sleep now as the universe breathes through you. In that stillness, you are no longer the seeker, you are the sought. You are no longer the drop, you are the ocean within the drop. You are home in everything, home in the breath, in the wind, in the earth, in the light, in the quiet of sleep, and in that silence. The universe whispers through you. There is no beginning, there is no end, only the rhythm of becoming. Amid the stillness where the soul has merged with the universe, a gentle truth begins to unfold. Eternity is not hidden in some distant future, nor buried in a vanished past. It exists here, in this single moment. One breath, if listened to with enough stillness, can hold the entire infinite. There is only now, and it is enough. There is nothing beyond the present, and that is enough. This is not merely a reminder, it is an awakening. For all our lives, we have chased someday and once upon a time, forgetting that the only thing that has ever truly existed is now. Imagine a droplet of dew resting on a leaf, catching the first light of dawn. In that brief instant, the universe gathers within its fragile curve, light, water, air, and time converging in one shimmer of being. The droplet does not live long, yet in its fleeting presence, it holds the whole sky. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. The one who looks outward dreams, the one who looks inward awakens. The present moment opens only to those who pause long enough to gaze inward, to where time no longer flows, and the pulse of raw existence can be felt moving through the veins of the soul. Modern life teaches us that meaning lies in later, after success, after recognition, after abundance. But Jung saw that happiness is not the prize of the future. It is the state of a mind that is fully present. He wrote, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. The great problems of life cannot be solved. They can only be outgrown. And to outgrow them, we must awaken, not by grasping for control, but by simply allowing things to be what they are. Right here, right now. Take a deep breath, right here, right now. This breath is eternity touching you. With every inhale and exhale, the universe communes with you. The air moving through your lungs is the same air once breathed by countless beings before you. Your heartbeat echoes the rhythm of ocean waves, the pulse of magma beneath the earth, the slow expansion of the stars. All of it is happening now. In the undiscovered self, Jung wrote, "The individual who is not anchored in the divine has no safety." But the divine is not a faraway deity. It is the present moment itself, where soul and cosmos meet. When you live wholly in the present, time loses its teeth. The past becomes memory, the future, imagination. The present, though brief, is the only thing that is real. It doesn't need to last forever to matter, just as a piece of music need not be endless to be beautiful. It only needs to play the right note at the right time. Look at the light spilling through your window. It does not wait to be seen. Yet, when you finally notice it, the world suddenly becomes luminous. That instant, the moment you realize you are alive, is the meeting point between the human and the eternal. Jung called this the numinous moment, the sacred instant when we touch the infinite within ourselves. He wrote, "The feeling of the numinous is the beginning of wisdom. To feel the sacredness of now, that is the beginning of true wisdom. When we truly pause, when we look closely at a flower, a droplet, or a breath, we see that even the smallest things are vibrating with life. 1 second of awareness can hold more existence than an entire lifetime spent in confusion. Remember, eternity is not the length of time, but the depth of a moment. 1 minute lived in peace can contain more life than 10 years lived in fear. Like the dew dissolving beneath the morning sun, it does not mourn its fading. In its vanishing, it joins the air, becomes warmth, becomes cloud, becomes life continuing elsewhere. Perhaps that is the most beautiful form of existence, to dissolve into everything, in memories, dreams, reflections." Jung wrote, "Time is a child playing moving pieces on a board. The kingdom belongs to the child. Time is a child at play, and the kingdom belongs to the child. Only when we abandon calculation and return to innocence can we step into the realm of the present, where time has no dominion. If there's any place where a human being becomes eternal, it is the moment they become aware of living, not because they have conquered time, but because they have stopped letting it pass them by. Right here, right now, this breath is eternity touching you. Listen to the sounds around you. The wind, the ticking of a clock, the soft rhythm of your heart. All are the breath of the world, inviting you back to now. No need to plan for tomorrow. No need to grieve for yesterday. This moment alone is real, and it is enough for you to feel that you are alive, that you exist, that you belong to the whole. Perhaps in the instant you release every worry and simply listen to your own breathing, you will understand. Eternity was never out there. It has always been within you, in this breath, in this droplet, in this light brushing against your eyelids. And as Jung once wrote, eternity is now, not in tomorrow, not after we understand everything, but now. Inhale, exhale, feel the weight of a single moment and realize it holds the universe. In the moment you realize that eternity lives here and now, something else begins to unfold. the silence between two heartbeats. It is not an empty void, but a resting place for the soul. Amid all motion, there is always a pause, so small that we rarely notice it. Yet within it, peace resides. The rhythm of modern life seems forever set to run. We run after work, expectations, and endless musts, forgetting that music becomes beautiful only because of its rests. A symphony cannot be made of sound alone, just as a life cannot be made of action alone. Carl Jung once said, "Wholeness is not achieved by adding, but by allowing." Wholeness is not something we build. It is something we allow. Allow silence to slip between the noise. Allow yourself to exist without striving to become anyone at all. Notice your breath. Between every inhale and exhale lies a brief stillness, a moment when the world seems to stop. Air neither enters nor leaves, yet you are still alive, still whole. That pause is proof that life doesn't exist only in motion, but also in rest. Jung wrote, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. Even in movement there is a hidden symmetry. Your heart, though it never ceases to beat, pauses ever so slightly between each contraction, and it is those pauses that give rhythm to life. Without them, the song of existence would collapse into endless noise. Imagine listening to a piano piece. The notes rise, shimmer, and fade. It is in the silence after each key that beauty breathes. The pause is not the absence of sound, it is the space that allows sound to live. So it is with you. If you fill every empty space with action, talk, or thought, you steal from yourself the chance to breathe. Perhaps peace does not come from what you do, but from daring not to do anything at all. Maybe peace is not in doing, it's in being. Think of your day. Morning begins with screens lighting up. Noon brings deadlines and messages. By night, your mind still hums with voices. Yet somewhere amid it all, perhaps when you gaze out a window or sigh after a long day, there is a small pause. That is the pause between heartbeats. The moment when you stop striving and simply exist. In Modern Man in Search of a Soul, Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But to become yourself, you need silence, space enough to hear the voice within. That voice doesn't speak in noise, it rises only in quiet. The world teaches us that silence means stopping, unproductivity, even uselessness. But for Jung, silence was the condition through which the unconscious could speak. He wrote, "The soul speaks in images, not in words. The soul doesn't use language, it dreams in symbols, and to see those symbols, the sky of the mind must first clear of noise. In that still moment between heartbeats, you are not divided into success or failure, right or wrong, gain or loss. You simply are, part of the universe's breath, resting, present. Feel it now. Between every breath, there's a pause. Between every word, a silence. Between every pain, a space where peace waits." Jung understood that modern humanity loses its soul, not from ignorance, but from forgetting how to stop. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. We do everything except sit still long enough to listen to ourselves. Perhaps the pause between heartbeats is where your soul has been waiting, not demanding, not judging, only waiting for you to remember that you don't have to run forever. The music of life does not live in the length of its notes, but in the way they blend with their rests. Each moment you soften into stillness, you let the universe breathe through you, like the ocean resting between waves. Close your eyes. Listen to your heart. 1, 2. Between those sounds lies a miracle. No action, no striving, only you and the pure fact of being. Jung once said, the smaller the mind, the greater the noise. The more we disconnect from our essence, the louder we must become. But in silence, we return to vastness, where separation fades and you and the world are one. Tonight, perhaps you don't need to do anything. You don't need to find peace. Just let peace find you, as the heart naturally pauses between its beats. Maybe peace is not in doing, it's in being. Let that stillness touch you, not to achieve, but to return. In that pause, life continues, gently, completely, without noise. And within that rest, you may finally hear what the hurried world forgot long ago. That sometimes simply stopping is enough to live. After the pauses between heartbeats, the world begins to dissolve into a gentle flow. There is no more sound, no more movement, only the steady rhythm of existence. And there, in the small space between inhale and exhale, the soul finds its place of rest. Imagine yourself lying in bed. The last light of the day has faded into darkness. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to prove. Your breath drifts slowly, soft as a blanket covering the body. Thoughts melt away, layer by layer, like mist dissolving under the moon. You do not need to control them. You do not need to quiet them. Just let them drift, like leaves carried by a stream. Carl Jung once said, the greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents. But beneath that observation lies the deeper truth, that the real tragedy of humanity is not in what we fail to achieve, but in what we fail to live now. We spend our lives in the not yet and the no longer, forgetting that this present moment, fragile as it may seem, is eternity taking form. There is no tomorrow, no yesterday, only now, and it is enough. Your breath in this moment is the thin thread connecting you to the entire universe. With every inhale, you receive the light of life. With every exhale, you release the weight of the past. In that rhythm, you merge into an infinite current, no longer you and the world, but one consciousness breathing as both. In the Red Book, Jung wrote, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. The one who looks outward dreams, the one who looks inward awakens. And perhaps right now, with your eyes closed, you are awakening for the first time, not from sleep, but from the illusion of time itself. Time was never the enemy. It is only a river that humans tried to measure, divide, and then feared as it flowed. Yet in the depth of the present, there is no river, only the still ocean. Here, all memories, all plans, all versions of I dissolve together. There is no beginning, no ending, only pure being. Time doesn't change us, it just unfolds us. Jung believed that time doesn't transform us. It simply opens what has always been within. And in this pause, when you stop running, you begin to feel that unfolding. Soft and quiet, like a flower blooming at night. Let your mind rest in this moment. No need to think about unfinished things. No need to worry about tomorrow. The sun never worries whether it will rise. It simply appears. The river never fears running dry. It simply flows. And by flowing, it endures. Happiness does not come from trying to hold time still, but from allowing time to dissolve within you, like wind through your hair, like light across your eyelids, in memories, dreams, reflections. Jung wrote, "We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Nothing can change until we accept it." Likewise, we cannot live truly in the present if we keep resisting it. Accept this night exactly as it is. Do not make it a peaceful night, or a holy night, or a night of awakening. Let it simply be a night and you, someone breathing within it. In that acceptance, worries soften, ambitions rest. What remains is only the slow pulse of life, unhurried, unexpecting, simply existing. Let your heartbeat become the soundtrack of sleep. Let each breath be a quiet thank you. Let your body grow heavy, your thoughts drift light. You do not have to resist the current. You are the current. In The Undiscovered Self, Jung wrote, "The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong." The mind doesn't swing between right and wrong, but between meaning and meaninglessness. Yet, in the present, nothing is meaningless. For as long as you are alive and aware, everything carries the significance of being. There is no tomorrow, no yesterday, only now, and it is enough. Let these words be the pillow for your mind tonight. You do not need to reach for eternity. You are already lying in its arms. You do not need to seek peace. It is already surrounding you, breathing through you. Sleep deeply, for when you awaken, the next journey will begin. The return to the source, where every beginning meets every end. Now, simply let go. Leave behind the noise, the questions, the roles. Let the night hold you as the universe holds a resting star. And in your final breath before sleep, you may hear something gentle whisper, not from me, not from Jung, but from within yourself. You are enough. You are here. And now is eternity. As the final echoes of the night begin to fade, you start to sense something deeper, a quiet continuity beneath all things. Greatness has faded, names have dissolved, and even time itself has softened its grip. What remains is presence, pure, timeless, and whole. You have learned that oblivion is not the end, that legacy is not the measure of meaning, that change is not loss, and that eternity is not a distant horizon, but a breath, right here, right now, somewhere in this stillness. Something begins to stir, a whisper, gentle but unmistakable, calling you further inward, beyond equality, beyond legacy, beyond transformation and time itself, lies the final return, not an ending, but a homecoming, where the self dissolves into the source from which it was born. That journey will come in its own time. For tonight, let everything rest. Let your thoughts drift like leaves on a slow river. Let your soul breathe in the silence it has found. Tomorrow, we will continue toward the final awakening, the return to the origin of being. For now, close your eyes, breathe. You are safe. Good night.